Hi everyone. We are actually doing a voice cast, if you will, in addition to the election coming up for the assistant commissioner. I know there's a description and you can look at the election procedure for more information, but I really wanted to just talk to people that were interested and give them a further understanding. What you'll see on the job description is really the three most important designations of the assistant commissioner. The first being the league history. Spencer's done a nice job creating a file that tracks owners through the years. And even if they leave for a few years and come back, we're doing pretty good at tracking their wins, their success, and milestones that come up. So I want to make sure that that is something that we continue. The second and third things are relatively new things. This is the first year that it's designated to the assistant commissioner. And one may argue that if a new commissioner comes in, that might not be designated to them. But if you're the next assistant commissioner, you'll learn that it behooves everybody for the assistant commissioner to take these roles. One of those roles is the All-Star game, and really the whole All-Star break. There's money allocated to the All-Star game and the All-Star week that right now it's being used for, I believe, the team that scores the most during the All-Star week. In the past, we've done nothing. In the past, we didn't include points that players were accumulating during the All-Star game. Those points don't actually count in terms of how ESPN tracks it. So we put them in manually. I believe in the past we've done double points on All-Star games just because they only get like one or two at-bats, but they should be rewarded. Sometimes we've done, you get 5 points if you have a starting position player, 10 points if you have the starting pitcher for that league. So things like that. That is something that the assistant commissioner can change year to year, determine how that week goes in terms of points and how money's allocated. That I feel like there could be a lot of fun during that week that I'm not necessarily we have captured. The third responsibility is the end of the year message. This year, owners received the beginning of the year message from the commissioner with a small token of gratitude. At the end of the year, we will also have a mailing out of the end of the year message. That is going to come from the assistant commissioner. I think it's vitally important that the assistant commissioner closes out the year. It is something that in the past we just kind of put a file on Facebook, nobody really read. But I really want to recap the year. And if a new assistant commissioner is elected year after year, that's a time where the assistant commissioner can kind of hand the baton to the next assistant commissioner. So that's vitally important for me also. This year will be the first year that we do that. The commissioner keeps the mailing list and makes sure that that's up to date. So that's easy for the assistant commissioner to do. Now, in the past, the assistant commissioner role has been very vague. So those three definitive responsibilities at least will be the responsibility of the assistant commissioner. In years past, it has just been Spencer and I. Spencer has played a vital role in scheduling. Whether you run for assistant commissioner and win this year, whether you run for commissioner next year and win, you will learn that there is a very detailed schedule that we do. and Spencer plays a vital role of that. Next year, I am the commissioner, so whoever my assistant commissioner is, they will play a role in scheduling. That is not a deemed role, but obviously as being the assistant commissioner, you kind of get whatever is handed to you. That is something that takes more hands than just me to do. Also, the assistant commissioner can be in charge of scheduling events. We are looking at including an event assistant that would essentially be an event planning committee by the assistant commissioner and the events assistant. If that's the case, the job description will more accurately point that out than what I'm going to do here today. If you have specific questions, let me know. There are limitations. I encourage you to look at the posted job description for the commissioner. That is still up. It's a few years back, but if you click on files, you will easily be able to look at all of the files we've uploaded and kept up. And there are 3 limitations for the commissioner that I just want to share because they also apply to the assistant commissioner. One is the commissioner may not, under any circumstances, demote, remove any founding board members without unanimous support of other founding owners. Founding owners are me, Mitchell, Alex Swenson, Spencer Ullman, and Becca Marsnick. And the founding owners are me, Alex, and Spencer. So, can't remove one of us 3 without the other 2 voting in favor of it. The second is, you may also not remove owners Becca Marsnick, Lizzie Farrell, and Pete Marsnick without supporting vote of the founding board. And then second of all, so the first clump is eliminating these certain owners. You need to go through a voting process. All you would do is send out a Facebook message or create a SurveyMonkey, and we would vote. Whether that's discreet or it's public for all owners doesn't really matter. It isn't really in the rules. Second of all is the commissioner may not make any election changes without first getting approved by the founding board. So in procedure and in process, a commissioner or assistant commissioner cannot change that process without going to the founding board. That's vitally important. You need to make sure that your commissioner is making sure those elections are being done. They're being done fairly, and everything's on the snuff and snuff. And then the last is really just a stipulation that the commissioner or assistant commissioner cannot dilute or remove these limitations without getting approval. So if any of those changes you want to do, there's a process for doing it. You just need to get approval. And the reason why is because the commissioners every 2 years. A lot can change in 2 years. Nothing we do is written in stone, so it's all up in the air. And actually, everything has to be recreated every year for the league. So we don't want fundamental parts of our league, like the election, really being botched. The election's important. Having owners that have been with, the league for a decade now, it requires someone else. When you're running for an assistant commissioner, you cannot run with somebody. If you remember last year, if you were here last year, you run for a commissioner. You could run. I'm Mitchell Munson, I'm running for commissioner, and I support so-and-so for an assistant. that's an easy thing you could do in the years that you also vote for a commissioner. But because you don't vote for a commissioner this year, you're only running by yourself. You do the same process, which is on the election procedure, where you have one page to make your claim, and then there's voting. Voting gets done at the end. I don't look at the voting before what's the word I want to say? Before it's due. Like, I don't track it, like, oh, one came in, let's see what they did. Oh, one more came in, let me see who they voted for. You know, if you're running, you can talk to people and do what you want, but you, excuse me, I just sneezed. I'm driving home to Chicago. But you just can't say I support anybody. Furthermore, if you are listening to this thinking, oh, you're going to nominate, I'm just going to use an example, if David says, listening to this thinking, oh, I'm going to nominate Garrett, that process doesn't work, therefore it doesn't exist. You cannot nominate somebody and force them to accept, or not even, care if they accept. Someone needs to nominate themselves and accept themselves and drive this whole process. Nominating other people, whether they want to or not, and waiting for them to be accepted, not only drags out a process that we take over a month to do anyways. This is a 20-some week thing, and you're not going to want to be nominated and then say, well, this blows, and this is, too much work. So I'm not going to do it. Well, so nominate yourself. You can obviously talk to someone and say, hey, I think you should run. I would vote for you, and have them nominate themselves. But you can't push anybody else through. You need to reach out to me and say, I want to run, and that would be that. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'm sure you can reach out to Spencer in regards to specifics. As we go along, the assistant role gets more and more defined, and this takes place after this year, because you actually get voted in the middle of the year. It takes place after, let's say Betty Sue gets elected for assistant commissioner. So when Spencer sends out the end of the year message, that's when the transition takes place. Not after the regular season, not after the Founders Cup, after the end of the year message is sent out. We would have a meeting with me and with Spencer, and we would talk about what that transition would look like, any files you need, just to get you all set up. If there's an event assistant, I will address that in a file on Facebook. I'm assuming we're going to have an event assistant. I just anticipate that happen. So whether you want to run for assistant, or you think this event, if you want to run for assistant commissioner, or you think this event assistant is more your deal, I would encourage you to run for assistant commissioner, just because the event assistant is going to take a little bit to understand, and if that's actually an elected position or an appointed position, if someone's just interested, it'll probably be like what we did with the financial officer, where you just say that you're interested, the commissioner picks somebody. Jacqueline was nice enough to sign up for it, but the issue is we had processes in place. Tilt.com works. I receive it, and I know how to dish it out faster. Do you mean it just seems like energy to set that up? So the event assistant would actually fill a role that we don't have. So I think they would actually be more useful there. So let me know if you have any questions. Please let Spencer know if you have any questions. You've got a few weeks, several weeks. Usually it's about the middle of May where we start getting the ball rolling on this. But I just thought if you were interested in the assistant commissioner, listen to this for 10 or 15 minutes while you're on the Facebook, and you'll get a better description. This is really something you want to do, or, you know, start talking about someone else, you know, doing it, or what have you. So, you know, it's been a good year. We've got another year, you know, and then in the middle of next year, we vote for assistant and commissioner. And you can still run for either one of those if you run for assistant commissioner this year. So, thanks so much. Bye.